Hey, my fellow AvGeeks, welcome to Andrews Aviation, and welcome to another trip report. Right now, I'm at Nashville International Airport about to make my way back home to Chicago. It's been a fun weekend with friends, but it's time to head home. Instead of taking one of the usual legacy carriers for my return trip like Delta or United, I thought I'd try something different. So for this flight, I'll be flying Frontier Airlines on their brand new Airbus A320neo. It'll be very exciting to see what America's greenest airline has to offer, so let's jump right in. So the main reason I booked this ticket isn't just because I wanted a new experience, but it's also because I'm cheap. I mean, the broke university student budget can only get you so far, right? Thankfully, we have budget airlines out there like Frontier to help you get from point A to point B for a low price, which definitely stands true in my case. I only paid $29 for this fare. That's honestly the lowest ticket price I've ever paid for in my life. But of course, when buying anything, it's not just the price, it's also the value of the product you're receiving, which will be the main focus of the video today. Hey guys, so actually some good news. We were originally scheduled on an A320-200, but then an A320neo just came, and I'm really excited because this is going to be my first experience on an A320neo. Like I mentioned before, Frontier likes to promote itself as a green airline, and currently operate brand new aircraft like the A320, A320neo, and A321. Frontier has also ordered a whopping 134 brand new Airbus A320neo family aircraft back in 2017, consisting of 100 A320neos and 34 A321neos. All these new planes makes their fleet one of the most fuel efficient and youngest in the world, with an average age of only 5 to 6 years in 2019. Operating my flight today will be November 307 Foxtrot Bravo, a factory fresh A320neo only a few months old. This means that this aircraft will feature Frontier's new cabin interior, which they like to advertise as modern, comfortable, and environmentally friendly. But of course, just like the pictures of the food at a fast food place, the real product doesn't look like the description. I made the choice of pre-booking my seat before this flight, and spent about $15 doing so. If you don't pre-book a seat, Frontier will assign you one at check-in. The cost to reserve your seat changes depending on the flight you're taking, but I recommend pressing your luck and just waiting until check-in to get your seat for free, instead of wasting money in the beginning. But of course, you dear viewer are your own person and can do with your seat as you please. As soon as I boarded and sat down in my prepaid seat, I immediately felt kinda squished. I'm not gonna say that it was like a sardine pack because we weren't stacked on top of each other shoulder to shoulder just waiting to escape but end up on a pizza that only some people like, but it felt more like when you're trying to cram as many cookies on the cookie pan but making sure they don't touch each other before putting them in the oven. That just means it's close but not too close. Frontier seats are also pre-reclined by 2 inches to keep other people from reclining and invading your personal space, but that just kind of leaves a seat in front of your face when you sit up straight. The quality legroom here is demonstrated by the official seat dimensions, which are 18 inches of width and 20 inches of pitch. I compared these measurements to the amazing high quality of Delta's A320 and saw that I'm getting 2 inches less of legroom. I know 2 inches doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're someone who likes to stretch out those kneecaps and fill the seat back pocket until it's about to rip, then I'm sorry to say, it's not going to be a very fun ride. But thankfully for me, I'm just barely short enough to wiggle around, but by the internet standards, I'm still not going anywhere in life. But anyways, speaking of short, just look at this armrest. I mean, I'll give some points for cuteness, but the cost cutting here is evident. But in my case, table space didn't really matter, because I got lucky and had the middle seat next to me empty. This meant that my seatmate and I could be little pests across 3 seats and spread out all of our stuff under the whole row. For all the other suitcases full of rocks, plushies, and stacks of cash that people decide to bring on board, the overhead bin layout is the same compared to Frontier's older Airbus models, which was already spacious enough. So it's right before takeoff, the flight attendants just announced that they have some bigger stretch seats in the front available for $50 extra, and I was like, heck no, because that costs almost like double more than what I paid for this ticket. Stick around later to find out how much, or you can skip ahead. Also, there were quite a few people I saw who were bringing carry-ons on board and found out that they couldn't fit or that they had to pay a fee. So if you're ever flying Frontier, book your carry-on in advance or book your checked baggage in advance because it's going to be like almost twice as much. I'll have the prices listed somewhere. It'll be a lot more for sure than if you pay when you're booking online. Once we were in the air and I started to look around the cabin more, I noticed just how dirty my seat was. It wasn't like as soon as we took off the cockroaches came out to play, but there was some noticeable grime, and a piece of my snack brochure was stuck to the seat. For a seat to get this messed up after only a few months of service, that's pretty surprising if you ask me. I'm not entirely blaming Frontier for this one because I'd rather point the finger at whatever bonehead who decided the back of the seat was a better place for their gum than a napkin. But still, this kind of stuff should have been noticed by the flight crew, and I really hope that they found the time to clean it at the end of the day. With low-cost airlines, there's a philosophy of short turnaround times, and I know that the crew can't get every nook and cranny of the plane when they only have 30 minutes on the ground. A little later, the crew came around with refreshments, but before I said yes, I rubbed my two brain cells together and remembered that snacks aren't free on budget airlines. I've come a long way from my days on Norwegian Airlines, and came prepared this time with a bag of Skittles and my own water. Maybe next time I fly Frontier, I'll actually order something just for the giggles. And if the tray table here looks tiny as heck, that's because it is. It's literally the size of an iPad. Here's my totally brand new iPhone 11 and not an iPhone 8 for comparison. If you want a bigger table to flex on your friends, you'll have to pay extra to upgrade to stretch seating. I'll give some credit to Frontier for being green in this case and saving weight on their seat design, but a tray table is designed for, to do stuff on. And if you planned on working on your laptop like me, then I guess you're out of luck. And of course when I say work, I mean play games on my own device because Frontier doesn't have any in-flight entertainment on board. That means no TV screens or media website. This is part of Frontier's budget model to keep their costs down and lower their ticket prices. The last part of this plane that I'll mention is the restrooms. The restrooms are located in the front and back of the plane, with 2 at the back galley space instead of 2 on either side behind the seats, which is a design feature of the A320neo. The room is taller and much easier to move around in, and I'm glad I'm not ducking my head down to avoid getting a concussion in an airplane restroom, which would be one of the most embarrassing places for that to happen. This configuration allows Frontier to fit in an extra row of seats and grab a bit more of that sweet money nectar from 6 more passengers. But as soon as I got back to my seat, we were over Chicago and begun our descent for a silky smooth landing. So to wrap things up on the long taxi to Terminal 5, Frontier is an airline where you have to play your cards right to get the true value of your ticket. The do's and don'ts are don't reserve your seat unless you're group traveling, don't ask for any snacks or drinks, and prepay for your carry-on or checked baggage. The do's are do follow all the don'ts I just listed, bring a few Lysol wipes, and bring your own entertainment and snacks. In the end, you won't spend much more than the original fare you paid. But would I fly Frontier again? Well, I suppose I would. Because, like I said, I'm a cheap college student who loves to fly. But if I had the option to choose between Southwest Airlines and Frontier with similar ticket prices, I'd prefer Southwest just because I can get free cookies and act like I'm doing something with my life on their free entertainment. So, out of everything, this brings us to the big question: is the pocket change that you paid for the ticket worth its value? I would say it depends on your situation. If you researched what's going to happen first and came prepared like a Boy Scout, then of course you'll get your money's worth. And if you didn't come prepared and ignored similar priced tickets on other airlines, then I would say no. Always look at the snacks. Well, that's it for me. I'm off to weave through the maze that is Chicago O'Hare's parking garage. If you like the video, pound that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more of Andrews Aviation. And, like always, have a wonderful day, everyone.